All right, welcome. This is episode 86 of the podcast, The Sean Lowery Show. My guest today is Taylor Price. She's a Gen Z entrepreneur, and she's known on TikTok as Priceless Tay. She has over 1 million followers. She was just on Good Morning America. She has a huge audience, and she talks about money, finance, financial literacy, which is something that everyone needs to learn about. So she's going to be a huge star. I had so much fun talking to her about many different topics. Enjoy the podcast. Okay. Taylor Price, Priceless Tay, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I know you've been doing a lot of podcasts lately. You're very popular. There's not a lot of people that are, 20 years old? You're 20 years old?
20, yeah.
Yep. I'm sure there's a lot of 20-year-olds that are crushing it on TikTok, but not necessarily the way you do it, which is with like financial advice and talking about money a lot.
Financial literacy, financial education.
Financial literacy. Do you think you found like a niche, like just you, a girl, 20 years old, young, Gen Z, talking about this subject? Is there many other people like you? I haven't seen many.
Not at all. So it's kind of crazy because now I'm starting to see like smaller accounts because my FYP, my For You feed is like always about like stock talk, fin talk, anything entrepreneur, like these younger girls getting on and talking about it. And then I see that they're following me on TikTok. I go to their Instagram. I see that they're following me on Instagram and I see that they've like messaged me like, oh my God, I made my TikTok because of you. Like, this is absolutely awesome. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
You're 100% their inspiration. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you got started. Usually, you might say like, tell me about your past, tell me about growing up. You're already so young though. So what made you want to talk about money?
I get this question every single podcast.
Figured, yeah.
So short, sweet story. Basically, I was not even thinking about money or finance or anything. I actually wanted to be a neurosurgeon. So I graduated high school a year early at 17. I went straight into pre-med, realized that it wasn't for me. I have a spinal fusion from scoliosis, and I also have lupus. And so I was probably going to go to more doctor's appointments in my life, and I was actually going to be performing surgeries. And so that kind of was like a big opener. Like, I worked my entire life, my ass off. Like, I did internships, medical camps, just a whole bunch of studying in this field to all realize one day that it wasn't going to work out. So what do you do when you're like out in the nowhere, deer in the headlights kind of thing? I asked my mom, like, what do I do? And she said, hey, you should really try finance. Like, there's a lot of job opportunities. It can be lucrative. You're smart. Try it. And said, I go back to college next semester and realized that, oh my God, I'm learning everything about a company's financials, but I had no idea what was going on in my own financial life. And this was like so shocking to me because prior to even going to college, I had automatically assumed, I don't know if this is stupid or not, that I would learn like budgeting and how to do my taxes in college because it's a finance class and doing all these things. That I didn't go into the field with any like expectations besides those. And so it was a real awakening when I went and I had no idea about my own finances. So that's actually when I started a blog. Like, why isn't every school teaching us a personal finance? Why isn't testing required only in 6 out of 50 states for this? This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, no wonder why we have all these student loans and credit card debts and like half of Americans not having, more than a $2,000 emergency fund. Like, it's so crazy. And my generation's like, hey, blogs are really nice and all. We love reading. But guess what? We like even more. We like vlogs.
That's right.
Get on the video.
Yeah.
So I originally got onto YouTube, then got onto Instagram. And from there, I created an awesome connection in LA. And LA has all these social trends and best place to do social media. And he's like, hey, there's this up and coming platform called TikTok. I'm on here as the only business account right now. People are loving it. There's a definite need for what you're doing in the financial space. Like, you need to get on this platform now. And this was back in like early 2019. Every kid was dancing on here. There wasn't too many like business accounts, and everybody thought it was like the younger portion of Gen Z, like the, I don't know, 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, whatever they are now. And so it was only until December 2019, January 2020, where I actually flew out to LA in California. I have friends and family there as well too. And I was like, hey, this is a place to do it, right? It's not going to be in my hometown in upstate New York where half the thing is farms, and you would be weird if you did social media. And so I did. And like my 10th video in while I was there went viral. And then from there, I'm like, wow, there's something going on here. And from there, yeah, it's like pioneering the financial literacy movement on TikTok.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. Upstate New York. I was actually born in Syracuse, New York. So I know the area.
Okay. Yeah, I'm near Woodstock.
Cool. Okay. That's the point that everyone knows of Woodstock. But there's not much around there. And you're in LA now?
Right now I'm in Fresno. I travel in between New York, Florida, and Los Angeles, kind of depending on the weather and work. I have a few things that need to be shot in the next few weeks concerning some GameStop documentaries, some other, like, every TV producer for some reason is like financial literacy. Like, yes, the kids want it. We want it. Here you go. So most likely being a co-host on some other like short TV series sponsored by Facebook.
That's so cool. That's so cool. People look for that. They look for, who can I find that people trust that's a good voice about it, and they find you right away. So that was great that you got in early on TikTok. And are you, like, you said you went to college. Like, did you finish college?
I graduated.
What was your relationship with? You graduated?
Yeah. So people always ask me this too, like, Taylor, how did you graduate with a bachelor's degree in 2 years? Like, that normally takes people 4. Because I'm 20 and I graduated in December.
Yeah, most people at 22 graduate, 21, 22, right?
Yeah, 22. So I graduated, first off, I did community college first, save money, super easy. It's in my local hometown, saved like a shit ton of money. I don't know why more people do it, because at the end of the day, people are only looking at where you got your bachelor's if you plan on transferring from, not where you went to community college.
Right.
And so I did that fall, winter, spring, summer. And then I transferred over to my next college, which was University of Albany, fall, winter, summer, spring, fall. And so I was able to take classes over the winter and over the summer, where some colleges don't have that, but my college did. Nice. And I'm like, I just want to get done with this. This is my mom's dream. Pursuing a college degree is not mine. I'm doing it because of the credibility that it stands, because especially being a female in finance, like, I get that question every single time I'm on a PR or a news reporter, podcast, anything. Like, do you have your degree? Because it's finance and people want to know, like, it's being trusted. Right. But that's kind of my
So let me ask you about college in general, because I'm fascinated in this topic, and I know a lot of people your age, they have that crossroads in their life where they're like, okay, I'm 18, should I go to college? And in the past, that was like definitely what you should do, especially if you don't know what you want. I graduated from college. I had such an amazing experience. I met all my friends, my now wife. Like, I would not give away that experience. It was awesome. But I have my own business now, and nothing that I learned from college helped me. Like, literally nothing. Maybe like turning in things on time, a little bit of discipline, but none of the actual information that I learned has been valuable to me at all. And with the money thing, with so many people, with the cost of college, like, if an average person comes up to you, they say they don't really want to know what they do, what they want to do in the future, would you advise them to go to college?
It really depends on the opportunities that lie out there. Like, if you want to do welding and you're super creative, try out trade school. But like, there's so many alternatives. Like, so many people think because of like the stigma in my generation, like an Ivy League, like Harvard, whoa, that's something really cool. Like, I want that credibility. It's like literally having a verification mark in real life.
Yeah.
Same difference. And like, what I like to tell people is that's, it's your start, but it's not your end. So there's always that opportunity of experience, I think, nowadays. Like, almost every single phone call that I get, there's like job opportunities. I'm not really into the 9-to-5, but the opportunities of building a resume on social media, that proves some big validity and credibility nowadays.
When I hire people, I I don't make any judgments, but college is not something that I like need to see or that is required. It's almost like if you found a way to be more creative in those 4 years doing something else, that shows a little bit of grit, a little bit of hustle, a little bit of thinking outside the box. And I'm almost more impressed by somebody. Now, if they weren't doing anything for 4 years, then it's like, well, what were you doing? But I don't know. I'm curious to ask a young person just because, I don't know, I'm curious to see, especially with COVID and all that, what the future of college is. And I think it's something that in the past people say that I'm definitely going to do. But I hope now they are a little more educated and think about how much it can help them. Because like I said, I didn't learn anything from it.
Yeah. I think one of the key differences as well, too, is that the people who question not going to college may or may not be as determined or driven or figuring out what they actually want to do. And so I at least say in my situation, yes, I was going to college, but I was doing more studying through the internet rather than through, my college courses.
Yeah.
And I, till this day, utilize the power of the internet that's on my phone. I always say, like, if my generation isn't getting any smarter, I don't understand why, because technology is always improving and we have the resources. We have the abundance to learn about anything we want to. And this little thing, do anything we want to in this like little phone. And so when you think about it and parents are like up your ass saying like, oh, why are you on your phone so much? It should be for a good fucking reason. It shouldn't just be scrolling through social media. If you're following people, like I get this all the time too, but I don't have any like affluent people or, successful people in my life. Like nobody around me, my friends' friends aren't wealthy. They're not like tech leads at a major startup.
Right.
Okay. That's why there's social media. You go ahead and follow them and see what they're saying. I was literally I don't know, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I just hopped on Twitter. Twitter is like, it used to be such a dramatic like social media for me, but I got onto it and I realized I started following these tech people, like startup founders, anybody creative as well too. And I realized like, there's so much knowledge being passed around here.
In real time,
I would never learn this in books. Yeah.
I go to Twitter for news and like, I always feel like I'm so in touch with the world. I heard you say that and it's obvious, but I don't think people understand how incredible it is that we have all this information at our fingertips. Literally, imagine if it's 1988 and you're interested and you're you, right? And you want to go find some information, you want to study on your own. What do? I guess you would maybe go to the library.
Yeah.
But then a book is written and it's set in stone and new information can happen in the world and the book doesn't change. So it's just, we're so lucky that we have Twitter, people like you on TikTok, like all these different voices. I've literally been scrolling through my feed and I see one person with one opinion and then someone else with another opinion. And that's great. That's healthy then you have to think about it on your own. It's just, we're so blessed to live in this time. And I just want everyone listening to it, like genuinely appreciate that. It's incredible. Your finance classes, like it is crazy how you go to college and you're like, I don't know anything about money. You take finance and all of a sudden you're learning about Boeing or like some corporate like books and you're like, wait, what? Like, I don't even know anything about this. Did you feel like you learned some stuff from that? Or like you said, were you just mostly learning on your own and getting the degree for like the verification, the real life check mark?
So what I do currently, like what I produce for social media, that is everything that I learned on my own. Right. What I learned in college is, some things here and there, but doing financial modeling, doing a lot of financial statement analysis, like income sheet, balance sheet, statement of cash flows, that kind of thing. I just, for my own personal audience, I started my TikTok that way. I started my TikTok going like deep into investing, trading, finance, that kind of thing. And I realized that so many people didn't even have a budget set in place, didn't even have an emergency fund set in place. So I had to think a minute and like say, okay, well, I don't want to be starting at the top of the tree. The money tree is what I call it. I don't want to I want to start at the bottom, the roots, which is the budgets, the saving, the where most of the people fall into that it needs to change. Otherwise you're setting yourself up for financial failure. Right.
I would imagine it might be hard to give finance advice to a wide audience because a lot of things like apply differently to different people depending on where they're at. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of your people that follow you might be like younger and they just need to know, should I have a credit card or not? Right. Should I like, do I budget? Do I save IRAs? And you get into all that stuff.
Yeah. And I can bring up a funny story about that too, because there's this common budgeting rule, 50-20-30 rule. 50% goes to needs, 20% goes to wants, 30% goes to savings. And so I made a video about it. And I guess realizing my privilege or something along those lines, that I live in an area where it doesn't, my cost of living isn't too high, unlike somebody from California or San Francisco. People were like, this is ridiculous. How could you only have 50% needs? Like, I need to afford my rent. This would be more like 90% needs, 5% wants, and 5% savings. And then I stood back a minute, like, you guys are so right. Let's change this like methodology. Let's just do it into buckets. You need to have a bucket of needs. You need to have a bucket of wants. You need to have a bucket of savings. I don't care how much wants you have, but you need to make sure that your savings are at least a little bit higher than your wants.
There you go. That's a good rule. And that takes a little bit of discipline, but it's easier if you have it mapped out in your head like that. Like if you're going to the store and you want something and you don't have any thoughts about that, you might just buy it without thinking about it. So that's really helpful.
Right.
And you started, you said, I think I saw that with like trading, right?
Yeah.
I always think that's interesting advice because like Dave Portnoy, like from Barstool Sports, you know him? He's always talking about day trading and stuff like that. And he's like making it like really cool. And do you think day trading is like a job that people can have? Like if someone's just starting, I just always feel like day trading is not really like a thing. You can do it for fun if you already have money or if you're already successful or your business or you have money put away. But if you just start off with $50 and you want to day trade, it's not really like a career, is it? What do you think?
No, you need to have a foundation. I started off in mutual funds and index funds. Then I moved over to ETFs, individual companies. Then I tried my hand out in penny stocks, doing day trading, swing trading. It is lucrative. Some aren't as lucrative as others, different plays. It definitely takes some, not even some, a lot. I dedicated during that whole entire year when I was learning everything about personal finance, going into trading, that kind of sector, I gave up my social life. And if my friends are listening to this, sorry. Seriously, I got so lonely at that point in my life where I got a dog because of how stuck my head was in with reading and learning and picking up things. And so when it comes to trading, it really takes like a militant soldier. Like you have to have this disciplined mindset. You cannot let your money get over your head and become greedy or become anxious and have super anxiety. It is like, you almost got to be like a sociopath to kind of like actually, manage your risk.
Right. Yeah. You have to understand emotions and the market and what's going on, but also you can't let your emotions like take over you.
Right.
And put too much in or something like that. You have to be able to centered, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's more than just risk management at the end of the day. Market movement really comes all through psychology and trading and investing psychology. And that is something that is just not taught until you actually experience it and be like, wow, I'm feeling all these emotions. Let me look why. There's this whole entire, knowledgeable books on why there's, the psychology behind trading and that kind of thing. And if you're able to really learn and hone down on the psychology, sociology aspect of why markets are moving and kind of get a little more into economics, then it's a lot better than just, hey, I'm looking at charts, based off of technical analysis and seeing like, okay, this is just moving up. This is just moving down. There's so many different puzzle pieces going into play.
Yeah. My like approach is kind of like the Warren Buffett thing. And I think this is like standard advice is just buy good companies and then hold them. Right. And that's like not as fun, but it takes the emotions out. And then you have to try to discipline yourself, like not to check the price every day. Like I own 2 Bitcoin and I try not to look at the price every day. I'm trying to just hang on to it.
Yep.
Like it's been great, but it's been such a fun ride. And so many people are talking about it. It's hard not to like check it every day when it's like skyrocketing up. But I'm just like, settle down. All right. Don't do check it every day. Maybe every other day, maybe. But what like Bitcoin, is that something that you're into?
Yeah, I'm into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink. I'm just getting into NFTs. People listening right now have probably kind of heard it swirling around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about NFTs for a sec, because I've heard it swirling around, and every time I hear something new and interesting, I want to kind of dive into it and like make sure I at least understand what's going on with it a little bit. So explain to the audience from your perspective, like what is an NFT?
Yeah, non-fungible token. Basically, it's something to put it in the easiest perspective, think of a verification paper that you would get for buying a Chanel bag. Literally, that's what it is, but in digital,
With
in
a
digital
blockchain,
real
right?
estate. Right, on the blockchain. Yeah. So it can be through Ethereum. It can be through, I know some companies like Rarible have their own blockchain as well too that they do it on. And so why I like it, why I think it's super interesting is because first off, I'm a creative at heart. I also think that the data behind this blockchain technology, like the metadata, is you can't replace it, and we're only moving into a more and more digital era and digital society. Like people, I think, will be cherishing these things that they can't. The sun, I'm looking out the window, the sun can't like ruin the painting. They can't be damaged by external forces. So you have it right on your technology, right on your phone. Boom, it's like forever lasting.
Yeah. And the thing I'm fascinated about it is you hear about Bitcoin, you hear about blockchain, and then you're like, what is the blockchain? And then people say, well, it could have really, really cool applications in the future. And this is the first time I've seen everyone talking about like the fact that the blockchain's backing it up. And I love that because that's interesting. There's something there. And but ultimately it's like just a piece of art, right? It's like a GIF or a CryptoPunk, like an image or a video. Like that part of it, I'm like, well, I'm not a big art collector anyway. And I like that part of the technology, but like, I feel like it's a little too popular for just like trading art kind of.
Yeah, so this is where like you really got to understand the value of blockchain and see where like our future is heading, because people will see NFTs, they'll just screenshot it and be like, oh, I have it now. That's not how it works. Like there's so much data lying behind that screen, like that, not the NFT basically, that it's not, it's unique and irreplaceable.
Yeah, it is cool. And there's definitely something there. I mean, I've seen, Gary V's like been obsessed with it lately.
And Clubhouse.
Yeah. It's funny to see people like screenshot it and like be like, yeah, I have one. Look right here. I got a CryptoPunk or whatever. Like, no, that's not how it works. But I'm going to curious to see how that keeps developing. I love that Chanel bag analogy because that can kind of relate. I sell products. I sell monogrammed clothing to girls. That's like my main business. I have like 16 employees. And when it's brought into that like real world of like something like verifying a bag or something, that kind of makes sense on like a product level too. So there's something there. I'm going to continue to like pay attention to it. But how long have you known about NFTs?
I'm not gonna lie, probably the past few months. I mentioned it to my family, and my family is, they're pretty old school. Like, I don't know blockchain, I don't know Bitcoin. I mentioned that I kind of didn't do anything about it, and just, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I woke up and like everybody was talking about it. I'm like, wow, okay, this has some real substance to it.
Yeah, that's the other cool thing about just this world. I think I'm a good investor, and like you talked about knowing, like the trends and kind of not just seeing charts. I literally get like my vibes from like social media, Twitter. Like if I see enough people talking about something and I trust the people, then I'm like, okay, this is something to kind of be aware of. You could never do that in like the 80s. Read the newspaper like every morning. It's just not the same. So it's another way that we're lucky. Like you can literally feel the vibes of like what people are talking about and go off that. So you probably always got to be on top of that with your TikToks. Yeah, I love your TikToks where you're talking to yourself. You're like,
the POVs.
Hey Taylor. What's up, Taylor?
Yeah.
Those are funny. I love that. And,
people learn like super easily from them. It's just another way my generation learns. Like, okay, you ask a question, you answer it. You ask a question, you answer it.
And you have like a different like hat on or a different shirt. Yeah. Like that. I love that. It works.
Yeah.
And like it really is like that short information. Yeah, what's your most like recent TikTok? What's a piece of advice that you've been like thinking about lately?
Well, I've just made a few TikToks recently on the Miami Bitcoin kind of thing that, for I guess the audience like listening to this, Miami and Mayor Suarez, I believe his name is, really want to get Miami into this whole digital era of being able to transact on Bitcoin and pay municipal workers through Bitcoin, and the citizens of Miami be able to pay their taxes in Bitcoin. So it's something that like is really
Yeah.
interesting to kind of hear through, government.
Yeah, government. That's really cool.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to pay my taxes in Bitcoin. I wouldn't want to buy anything in Bitcoin because it's skyrocketing
Yeah.
up. So if I spend
Mhm.
$5 or whatever worth of Bitcoin, it's like that could be $50 in 2 weeks. So like I feel like a lot of people, me,
That's the trick. Yeah. I
don't
think
want to spend it.
Bitcoin, yeah, I think Bitcoin is more of like, okay, I'll get paid, but don't give.
Right,
Any
right.
Bitcoin that you have, like you want to keep because it's scarce. There's only a finite amount of Bitcoin out
Right.
there. And when we reach our capacity, like who knows at that point what is going to be valued.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's so fun to watch it like skyrocket up. And that was Tesla bought 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
That gave it a lot of credibility and it shot up since there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I own Tesla stock too, and I bought a car, and basically I bought 5 shares of the stock. Like when I bought the car, I think it was probably about a year ago, and it's like paid for the car already, which is
Wow,
cool.
that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean it's been skyrocketing. Like, what are some companies you think that are going to be good in the future? If you were going to invest in some like companies, like what's on your radar?
I would recommend to the beginners listening right now just plain index funds.
Okay, it's boring, but it gets you in the game.
Yeah, my personal opinion, not stock advice, not financial advice.
Right.
Vanguard tends to be really good. ARK is something that I'm like so obsessed with. ARK-K, ARK-G, like everything that Kathy Wood has ever produced. I'm like, this is so great.
I don't know about that. What's that?
So ARK is a ETF company. They create funds, and there's different like. She has a innovation fund, a fintech fund, a next generation fund, and they're all like over the past year they've all returned like over 100%.
Wow.
And she was like the CIO, chief investment officer of some other company before starting ARK. She's like such an amazing woman. Like I look up to females in finance like so highly, and she's just somebody that I'm like, Kathy, I'd like to have dinner with you.
I'm sure you could probably pull that off if you.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But for people listening, like the funds, that's basically like you're putting money in, and it's like a pool of investments, right? So you don't have to depend on one company's success. You can kind of depend on the person that's putting it together's ability to diversify it. And I mean, she grew 100%. That's insane.
Yeah,
she knows what she's doing. So that's a good way to start. That's cool. Yeah. So you have TAP Intuit, right? That's your company?
Yep.
What's your company do?
So right now we're just a community based on connecting people with similar financial goals. However, we are in the development of working on a mobile first app that allows Gen Z basically to become the CEOs of their financial life through smart money mapping. Basically think of like a Merrill Lynch for Gen Z.
Okay. So like you log into the app, and what does it show there? Like your different investments?
Yeah, it's not more so investments, more about financial planning. So you think right now, you think of Mint. Mint, almost everybody has Mint. Yeah. Mint talks about money management. They talk about what you currently have. They're really strict on your budget. You can see your net worth, but the problem there is that they don't have steps A through Z on what to do next and how to actually get there for your future. Like estate planning, education planning, real estate planning, all these different kinds of things that financial planning is kind of made up of core 7 pillars. And another issue is that there's only so much personalization you can do. And surveying thousands of people for the past year and a half, one thing that really irked or stressed people out is like, hey, I have a different financial life than somebody else. There's only cookie cutter things out there that kind of apply to this like pickles in a jar. Like I am not the pickle in the jar.
Yeah, everyone has a different like situation. Like I have revenue coming in for my business, and it's like different every day, every week. So it's like I wouldn't have something where it's like you have a salary, you know how much you're going to make, and then you can kind of budget it out. So it's kind of different for everyone. When you're like sitting down, you're looking at your own like money. Where's like the first place you look? Do you pull up like a bank account? Do you have like one centralized place where you kind of have everything?
So Mint is that place right now. Okay. Like I can see my net worth. I can see money coming in.
And is that pull in like your bank account and then like maybe your investments and then kind of add it all up? I don't use basically. I know about it.
It uses it uses this thing called Plaid where you can connect all of your bank accounts, investing accounts, everything. So I have a few bank accounts. I have a few brokerages from a few different, brokers, a few different investing accounts within each brokerage. So it gets sort of complicated. And the thing about Mint is that it kind of connects everything all in one place where I wouldn't have to go through each individual bank account. And also for credit unions as well too. For example, I have a Discover card. I can connect my Discover card to Mint and I can see
that's awesome.
Everything. Not sponsored, guys, by the way.
Yeah, I just use Google Sheets. I mean, the one thing that's annoying is I kind of daily have to copy paste my bank account information, but I can put in stocks and it'll calculate it in real time, and then you just calculate it out how many you have. But the other thing I like about that is if I have a big payment coming up, I can put it on there and it'll come out. And if I was just looking at Mint, it wouldn't know about a future transaction that's coming out. So I can decide when I put stuff on my books to kind of have in my head on my bottom line number, how much I have.
Right. That's talking about financial planning.
Right.
Nothing out there that really, besides you want to do it, hand by hand using Excel or Google Sheets. But my generation is all about automation, efficiency, and simplicity.
Right. Exactly. And so Tap Intuit. When I hear that, I think of Intuit. They're a big, they do bookkeeping and accounting. Any affiliation with that?
Totally different. This is something that I'm going through on. Do I just remove Intuit and just say Tap, which is most likely probably what we're going to do. The thing though is that I've been on so many, credible press releases Good Morning America being one.
Yeah, I saw you on Good Morning America. That was awesome.
Where I say tap into it. So if I just say tap, hopefully that will still count as
you can keep the into it, but tap. Is tap your initials?
Yeah. So it's Taylor and Price, but it also stands for Today's Answer Profit.
Oh, nice. Well, I don't love that personally because do you know what monograms are? Monograms, it's very popular in the South. It's what I sell. And that is initials. We sell so many things with girls' initials on it, but that puts your last name in the middle. So your monogram would be TPA, and the P would be the bigger one. So you should make it TPA, but no, you can't change it. Tap's cool. But I just think about that because monograms. But tap into it. And you have some employees, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What do they do?
They're all Gen Z. All Gen Z and all female right now.
Nice.
Kaylee does our operations, so she's kind of like a manager you can think of. Anita does more of community engagements, talking with and engaging with our community. Bia does relations, so more on the influencer type partnership side. And then Tadia is my co-host on our podcast, WTF, What the Finance.
I love that. And are they W-2 employees of your company, for tax purposes?
1099.
1099, okay. Are you guys in the same place or are you virtual?
No, we're all remote.
Yeah. I think that's interesting, because you can have such a better pool of employees if your company's virtual. I have shipping and printing and stuff where people have to be there physically. And I like that because you get that company environment, we have meetings, everyone's around. But if you don't have to do that, do you guys all Zoom together? Do you guys have some company morale?
Yep. We do our Zooms. We have our Slack chat. We say good morning every morning and talk about what's on the agenda. We use Notion for our planning. So we try to plan out a month in advance for anything social media or meetings type things. And so we're usually 30 days up ahead so people can see what they're doing, or if they need to go, if they want to do a vacation, just let us know in advance. And so with my generation too, the people that I employ are mostly still in college or just about to finish college. And so it's more of a flex schedule. Hey, show what's your hours. We'll coordinate what's a good time for you to work.
That's awesome. Yeah. You're killing it. When I was 20, I was still in college, probably just partying it up, starting to think a little bit about my future, but you're doing so great. That's amazing. I saw, like you said, one of your TikToks was when you pay your employees, you can put their paycheck in part savings, part in their bank account. I have a question about that, and it's kind of about saving. I have a savings account. I don't really use it. Like, all right, if you have a savings account, and I understand like your principle, like you want to pick a percentage of your money to save. So if you go to like your Wells Fargo or your bank account, you can just like easily transfer that to your like regular bank account. Like, do you ever like think that's a problem a little bit where like, okay, I have one account. It's a good way to visualize the difference between the two. But if you have 500 in your checking account, 100 in your savings account, and you need 600 and you're in a bad discipline moment, you can like easily pull that over. Right? Is that like one of the problems with savings accounts?
Yeah, that's why it's not really talked about like advanced banking, which goes more into money market accounts and CDs that kind of locks your money up, giving you a certain interest rate. So, for example, if you got a 5-year CD, meaning that you really can't take your money out for 5 years at a locked in interest rate before COVID, like you'd be making so much more interest than anybody else who doesn't have a CD and has a normal savings account. So yeah, this is something that, again, school doesn't really talk about too much. Not many people know about it. But if you are disciplined, it's something that I highly recommend for, myself personally in my own financial situation to see. But, if you're all over the place still, if you need to pull out that savings, it really should be for an emergency.
Right. And if you're not disciplined, I think that some friction, like putting it in a CD or in the stock market or just investing somewhere where it's like you can't just pull it right away. Mm-hmm. You have to like have a little bit of friction to get your hands on it. That might stop you if you have bad discipline.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. But what about, so I know you talk about this a lot, but I think it's an interesting topic is like credit, right? Like my mom fought me on getting a credit card when I was like 19. She's like, you're going to use it for beer and pizza and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm actually starting to like learn about this stuff. Like I want to build it up so I can like buy a home one day. I can build up my credit. What do you say? What do you say to people who want to get a credit card? Is it a discipline thing or what?
So it's difficult because you have people like Dave Ramsey who are like, no debt, nothing. And then people come to me like, why are you talking about credit? So let's start off with like why credit is important and why you actually need to have it. So if you're trying to get a house, you know that houses are more so like upwards of 100,000 plus, kind of at like almost the bare minimum. Let's be real now that economy is like always going up. Yeah, a small house. Yeah. And so most people don't have that 100K laying out. So what do you have to do? You have to go to some sort of lender and say, hey, I need basically an IOU. I need X amount of money. I'll pay you back in 15 or 30 years and I'll give you more money back than you actually gave me, because that's, what's fair and what I need to do. And so when a lender takes a look at your credit score, they say, okay, is this person lying? Are they actually going to pay me back my IOU or are they not? Are you reputable or not? Basically is what I'm trying to say. And so this credit score tells these banks or these lenders, like, this person's a yes, this person's a no, this person's a yes, this person's a no. And if you're a no, you fall under a bad category, meaning you probably have a bad credit score. You have a bad track record of paying things off on time or even paying them at all. You're probably either won't qualify to get a mortgage, which is the IOU that we're talking about to get a house. Or what they'll do is like, hey, you're going to owe me way more money than you actually need to, because I don't know how reputable you are.
Right.
Yeah, I don't trust you. So I'm going to stack up the dollars for myself. And if you don't pay me, like that's on you. Then we could get all into like foreclosures and stuff like that. But simply put, that is why credit is important. So talking about when to get a credit card, I like to say 18 or become an authorized user is one of the more simpler ways. Your parents have a good credit score. Okay, become an authorized user under their account. You automatically kind of start building your credit under their credit score. So you don't have to do anything. If you're not making any income yet, you can kind of just like be off your parents for a little while until you turn 18 and get your own credit card. And then one of the simplest ways is to utilize a credit card is to put your Netflix subscription on it, your Spotify subscription on it, turn on automatic payments, and there you go. You're building positive credit. And if you're not somebody who's good with, plastic, can't see what you're actually spending, then just leave it at that. Don't touch your credit card. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you're good and you want to utilize some of those benefits that credit cards can give you, Like, for example, the Discover It card, which I started off with, you get good grades in school, you send them your GPA, your report card, you get money back.
Yeah.
So those are things that you can utilize. But if you're not super responsible and you can barely manage your debit card, it's going to be really hard to manage a credit card.
I'll pay it off later.
Yeah.
I have a card that's 5% cash back and I use it all the time and I just pay it off because it's like 5% off life. It's great. Yeah. I also remember when I thought when I first got a credit card, I was so mad because I knew the credit score mattered. I understood this principle. And I bought like one thing, gum even, and I paid it off. And I expected to look at my credit score and say, excellent, perfect. I was like, I have a perfect credit score. I bought one thing and I paid it off. Why is my credit score not perfect? And credit scores are like complicated. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it's more than that. You have to have like a history. You can't just buy one thing and have a perfect credit score. Like, okay, I bought gum and paid it off. Can I get a house now? It doesn't work like that. It's for people who might think that, like I did when I first started.
Yeah.
So you have to build it up over time, right? Yeah. And there can be some good advantages of it. But yeah, there's so many. There's like, I think everyone just has like a different way of looking at money. And it's so interesting and different. Like I heard this good quote lately, right? It was like if a baker like learns the recipe how to make bread, but then they memorize it and they're good at it. And then when someone asks them to make an omelet, they don't know how. But a chef, they like understand all the principles of it and they can know how to make everything because they understand cooking. Like if you're the chef in the money situation, like what are some like the fundamental like money lessons that you think that can apply to everyone?
Consistency, being consistent with your own financial life. Like, you have similar money coming in, you have similar money coming out, not just some random habitual or impulsive purchases. Consistency, I think, is like a flat out everything in life. You're consistent in life. That's an advantage. That's being advantageous in life, at least I think. So many people are all like over the place, and there's nothing wrong with that, not knowing what to do or still figuring out your habitual spending patterns and that kind of thing. But just being consistent, I think it would have to be one of the like foundations. So like,
when you say consistency in this sense, do you mean like just consistently like thinking about it, like monitoring it?
Yeah. So it could be anything. Consistently investing a portion of your money, consistently saving a portion of your money, consistently paying off the credit card bills monthly, consistently getting a primary income source monthly, consistently working at your side hustle, whatever, consistently doing this. And you'll see that not everything's overnight. Like, how do people think I built my TikTok following? Oh, it wasn't posting once a day. For almost an entire year, I was posting at least 3 to 5 a day. I was the one that was showing up every single day. I was putting myself more out there than other people were. Like, it took a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
So like being consistent in life, at least to me, showed me that there's so many more opportunities when you do so for a long time.
Yeah. Do you think that's a problem with your generation? Like the Gen Z, even millennials, like we just have all this instant gratification in so many ways that, yes, business is hard. It's going to be challenges. There's going to be obstacles. You're going to have to go through them. It's going to be challenging every step of the way, but you just have to be consistent and it gets easier. Like, do you think your generation kind of has a problem with that long-term consistency?
Burnout.
Yeah. And having to fight through that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you gotta fight through it, and you gotta have some sort of way that's, whether it be walking out in nature or, if you love cooking, or finding out something that you absolutely love, that's a passion of yours, then I really feel like that's a good way to kind of prevent burnout. Most people think like, I need to work more than a 9 to 5. I need to like get no sleep and sacrifice my life for XYZ company. But to me, that's how you basically are burning yourself out.
Right.
There's this one thing that I heard, I don't know from who, I think it was on a podcast or something like that, but think of like your entrepreneurial, like a NASCAR track, and you realize the NASCAR drivers need to take pit stops. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? They're not going to win the race. Their car's going to break down. They're going to be sloppy. It's not going to be a good deal. And so you need your time, whether that be, like I said, doing art or sleeping, whatever it is. Most likely you could win the race more than other people who are just like losing sleep over this and, really not taking care of their physical or mental health.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Just for people to just understand, you're not an overnight success. You're a big success, but not overnight. And I think people might just kind of pay attention, and it looks like an overnight success, and they're like, "Oh, Taylor's an overnight success. Why am I not an overnight success?" But it's very rarely that someone is an overnight success. And sometimes when they are, like, say they have a TikTok that goes viral. I've seen some, and I check out their accounts, and like they just had one that was good. Like the other ones, like, and they'll start to fall off a little bit. So like being an overnight success is almost like a bad thing, because it'll be great for that moment, but you might just think it's that easy when it's not. So just it's important for people to understand, especially entrepreneur in the entrepreneur world.
I hear, like, for example, you think of like Addison Rae and Charlie.
Yeah.
They even themselves were like, this wasn't overnight success. It might look like it on social media, but the whole premises of them was dancing. And how did they get so good at dancing? They spent, Charlie spent 14 years prior to dedicating her entire life to, doing dancing, whatever, going competitions, like sacrificing a big portion of her life in order to do that. And so most people don't have that, like, their thing at such a young age, but she did. And guess what? She just got it a little earlier in life to show out to the world.
Yeah. She's lucky TikTok came along.
Yeah.
Because that's the perfect platform. There's a perfect platform for her. But there are some huge TikTok stars. Like, so with your TikTok fame and your TikTok attention, like, do you think you'll just continue growing your business, like, and gathering people like through TikTok, or are you trying to kind of make sure that you kind of use some other things like YouTube, Instagram, spread it out? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I always, being diversified in anything, I think is something that's important. So I've always, when I even first started my TikTok, always linked my YouTube and linked my Instagram. I think it's super important to be on other platforms, because when we had that freak, I don't know how many months ago was that.
I remember that.
Like 8 months
Everyone
ago.
On TikTok was like, follow my Instagram.
Yes. I actually, what I did during that time was I left my phone on live stream and I put up a sticky note on the wall, like, text this number, and this number is my community number, so I didn't lose in touch no matter what platform they have. Yeah. I was absolutely great. And then I saw other people doing it. Like, something
it was your idea
on TikTok as well. Yeah.
Like, that's one of the first funny. Ones, like, a live stream, and you just put up your phone.
Yep. Please text me so we don't lose connection.
That's so
and
cool.
I left it running for like 24 hours or something like that. Like when I was sleeping, doing things at work. It worked out well.
That's funny. That's good. This is like kind of off topic, but like I feel like that story, because it was like Trump's gonna get rid of TikTok, China owns it. Who like owns TikTok now even? I feel like that story fell off a little bit. Do you know?
It's in the U.S. Yeah, I think it's in the U.S. and I can't remember.
People said like Walmart and something was going to buy
it. Walmart or Microsoft or something like that.
No one really
totally
knows.
Blanking.
I feel like that was such a big story, and then it found out that like some American company owns it now. I actually Googled it the other day because I was thinking about this, and it says the people that own TikTok is called ByteDance or Byte something like that.
Yeah.
Like it just fell off. That story.
So ByteDance is a company that's based in China. So I'm not exactly sure how that works out. I think the main concern was that the data was overseas, and now there's like a headquarters in Los Angeles, I believe. That's where all the data is being held for the US. And so that might have been the thing, but feels like so long ago compared to like how much news we've been getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And data. Yeah. I mean, like, that's so interesting. Like, what do you like? Do you have people who like care about privacy? Do you ever talk about that? Like, do you care? Like, I'm always like, I can have my data. I don't know. Do you think 100%. There's danger in it? You think there's danger in it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So data, we're going to see, I think in the next, 10, 20, maybe even 30 years, it's going to be one of the most important assets in anything in our lives and business. Till this day, data is one of the key driving factors of a successful business. If you can understand your data and hire a data scientist, whatever, you'll definitely be ahead of many people who just don't understand it. And so when it comes to our data, you can think of companies like 23andMe already trying to capture that. But the thing is that I think in the future we're headed more to decentralization, where people want to own what they own. So if this is my data, like don't be selling it. Don't put me in a category and are in a statistic, like you have to pay me for those numbers. And right now, people aren't realizing how many other companies are using us as their pawns by collecting these. Seriously, by basically them controlling our chessboards.
Yeah.
And so people are going to have that awakening. And that's kind of what like the foundation of cryptocurrency is. And people are really starting to like that. They're just not thinking like a few steps ahead. Like, how is this applicable in my medical history? How is this applicable in the social media that I'm scrolling on? Like all these different kinds of things.
Yeah. I see it both ways. Like if I can get money from my data, cool. But also, like, I run a lot of Facebook ads for my business, and I want them to kind of know. I don't know if someone wants to buy a monogram and they're talking about it. I want them to have an ad pop up on their thing. But I see both sides of it. But ultimately, if you can, like, it is a valuable asset that you have. So you should understand that. But I'm never like worried about giving it out. Really, just I don't know. Maybe I'm naive, but it's always an interesting topic. But yeah. Oh man, this is like fun stuff. Like, it's crazy how you made it like cool to talk about. Like, do you ever, people say like, don't talk about money. It's like bad. I've always like politics, money, religion. Don't talk about those things. Like, I love talking about those things. I don't care. Like, do you think that's like changing a little bit? Like, or do you still get some like backlash from that?
Yeah, no, that is the premises of my platform is to challenge the status quo and start talking about money. I make that same correlation. Like I always grew up never being able to talk about money, religion, and politics at the dinner table. But those are, I think, one of the three most important things that people need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe, politics and religion, they, people have their opinion, but most of the majority of money is like key foundations. A budget is a thing for everybody in the entire world. Like, saving, spending, these are all things
why
that
can't you talk
everybody
about
needs
that?
to go through. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah,
and so like
politics and religion might bring up people's emotions, which like, okay, you don't really, maybe that's not the best at the dinner table. I can understand. But talking about percentage to put towards savings, percentage to put towards wants and needs, what's wrong with that?
People just get uncomfortable and they're insecure. But the thing is that in order to learn, we have to ask questions, right? If nobody's going to be talking to it about you, you got to be the one that's like, hey, be the hungry person to learn more and be motivated, stay hungry, whatever. I think it's super important to ask questions.
Yeah, I agree. So where do you see yourself in the future? What's your plan for Priceless Tay?
So that's a good question. With Priceless Tay, I see it being more of a bigger media group and eventually like production houses or studios, whatever, for more of like educational, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and maybe like doubling down on the female women aspect, depending on maybe, who knows, it would be more of like Priceless Media Group instead of Priceless Tay.
Okay, that's cool.
And then Tap Intuit is like 1 out of 5 segments or pillars. So Tap kind of focuses more on the financial side, but basically our vision for the whole company is really to provide or become a trusted source of information for Gen Z to live their best lives. And so whatever you can think of, I'm not gonna like say too much, but whatever you can think of that could enable Gen Z to live their best lives, whether it be, I'm not even going to get into it, but whatever you think of, that's kind of in like our master plan. So step 1 is finance. I'll let you know on that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think you're going to be a big star. And when, maybe you come back on the podcast one day when you're a big star in a couple of years or something like that.
A couple of years, couple of months.
Couple months.
The way that social media moves, seriously.
That's true.
No, but who knows? Couple of months, year. I'm down.
Okay. All right. And one more thing. Like, this is like an entrepreneurship podcast. We're talking a lot about money from a lot of different perspectives. But yeah, you're an entrepreneur. Like, let's say for a girl, what would be one piece of entrepreneurial advice you would have for a young girl? Because I like that you have that niche.
So there's 2. Organization is the key to success. Doesn't matter if you're a boy, girl, transgender, whoever you may be. I don't care. That goes across the border. Or I think Benjamin Franklin said this, but I kind of say that my mom said it because she said it so much in my life. It's a failure to plan is a plan for failure. So if you don't have a plan, guess what? Nobody else is going to make it for you, most likely, especially in like your adult life. And so just having a plan and being organized, I think can take you so far along the road. So many people don't have it. It's something that's advantageous, like organizing your time and using a calendar. Whoa, time management skills. You would not realize how many people don't have time management skills. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Of course, it doesn't matter, boy, girl, all this advice is across the board. But I do think it's awesome that we started that. A lot of other young girls use you as an example to be like, I can talk about finance. I can talk about money. So in that case, people like to look up to people who are like similar to them in a way. So in that case, I love that. And I hope you keep inspiring many girls. Where should everyone go find you and follow you?
At Priceless Tay, PRICELESSTAY, Priceless Tay. My name's Taylor Price. Very nice to meet you.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll be excited to talk to you again in the future. Keep following you and keep doing amazing things.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Bye, Taylor.